questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, people, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football. We've got a slightly new concept, which Dan has thought up very on the spot, but we think of ideas and we put it out there. This is episode 1, I think, of TACT-EAGLE, which is a nice little play on words, I think. But the main man of the show, STATMAN Dan, how you doing?
I'm good. I had a nice Chinese today to celebrate my new apprenticeship. So I'm in a good mood today, and the kids at school weren't too bad today either. So it's all good today. How are you?
Well, I've told you off camera, I've had to inhale my dinner. So if I got food around my face, you got to tell me because I haven't had time. But
I think you're all good at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm not going to get too close just in case. I'm not going to get too close.
There's this sort of road bit of like chip down there or something.
I just got a whole steak just slapped to the side of my face. It's all right. Just saving it for later. But we are going to be having a little tactical analysis and sort of a mini prediction of what we think is going to happen against Leeds.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a very interesting one, especially with the injuries as well. I think it's going to make it even more.
Before we even get into it, I think my prediction for this match is it's either gonna be fireworks, as it's gonna be loads of goals, or there's gonna be one goal.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're both quite attacking these days, both of our teams. So I've got this. My heart is saying 2-1 Palace, but my head is saying probably a 1-1 draw.
And I think probably the best place to start is probably their last game against Villa. You've watched some of it back, so do you want to take us through that one?
Yeah, so surprising. Well, so the Villa game, to be fair to them, I don't think was that representative of what they've done through the season because they got the red card. Sinistera got sent off. And I think because they did go into that, because they did play with 10 men for such a long time, they didn't really create anything throughout the game. And to be fair to them, I think that's kind of been the polar opposite of what they've been doing for the rest of the season. Like even when they played decent sides, they still managed to create, in terms of XG, like actually quite good amounts. But then equally, on the other hand of it, because they did go to 10, they actually managed to defend quite well. They just held everyone back for the 0-0 draw, which again is kind of opposite to what they have been doing, because whilst they do create a lot, they also concede a lot as well. So I think they did well to keep the 0-0, but I think it was a strange one because they did go down to 10 men, so they did just kind of back themselves for the 0-0 in the end.
Yeah, in a sense, it's sort of kind of opposite to us. We love conceding really late goals, and they sort of stamped out conceding late goals, because I did catch a few clips and Villa were really pushing for that winner right at the end, but they held out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, a part of me also kind of thinks that Aston Villa attacking wise have been so poor going forward this season that if Villa are able to create that many, I know they only had 10 men, but if Villa are able to create that many chances, as long as we're positive, I think we can create a lot of chances too. So there is that as well, I think.
100%. When looking at that Sinistera red card, was there anything that was it a definite red card in your books?
Yeah, I think so. Remind me, what was the second booking again?
I can't remember. That's why I asked you.
Oh, fair. I can't remember. But because I did watch it at the time, and I do remember thinking, it was one of those that I remember thinking, like, if I was a Palace player, it wouldn't have been like what's the ref doing? It's more like what's he doing kind of thing. Like why why are you doing that? If I remember correctly, it is starting to come to me a little bit. If I remember correctly, he went in quite hard on a tackle, and I think that's quite indicative of the way Leeds are playing this season. I don't want to coin the old cliche dirty Leeds, because to be fair to them, like they're not. I wouldn't say they're dirty, but I would say that they do like a tasty tackle. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think that leads us perfectly onto what my next point was going to be. I'm just looking at the stats for the last game, and I think the 23 fouls versus 12 fouls stuck out to me personally out of all the stats here. I know that Villa had 19 shots, which is dramatically more than Leeds' 6, but I think this fouling stat, in my opinion, probably speaks more because of what happened and how Chelsea played against us. Do you think that we'll sort of be a bit more ready for a team that, I guess, is set up to frustrate us as well as put us, as well as breaking away fast? Because that's sort of a similar trait to how Chelsea play. They just try and frustrate you and then break.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, I like to think that we are ready for it. I do have my reservations, but who knows? Maybe having Tompkins and probably Wardy playing might bring a bit more experience, and maybe they'll know how to handle it a bit more. That's one hope. But I do wonder with players like Eze, Elite, like if Eze and Elise play, I don't know how well they're going to necessarily adapt to it. Check Decore as well. Like, I don't know how used to it he was in the French league, in Ligue 1. I mean, Edouard, I guess to an extent, up at Celtic, probably was used to it a bit more. And I totally agree with Louis' comment that I do think Leeds will try to go in on Wilf and try and wind him up.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the opposition fans' point of view, where they think if they can frustrate Wilf, then they'll shut out Palace. However, what they lack to realise is, in my opinion, the more you frustrate him, the better he plays.
Yeah, I think for me, I always find it goes in two ways. Like, weirdly, I think if it's the fans who are trying to wind him up, he goes on a mad one and will score, and then will score within like 10 minutes. But I always I know this is what I think, but like when he's on the pitch and the players are winding him up, I think occasionally it does bubble a little bit. But I mean, to be fair, he's only ever had one red card for that in however many years he's played. So maybe that's just a stereotype that I'm pushing a bit there.
Let's hit some comments. Chairman saying this is different. Big up Louis. Big up Luca. And we've already touched on Louis' comment here. I was just doing a little bit of quick research before I was putting the tactics board together. And I found this nice little, I guess, little summary of how Leeds play in the Athletic. Marsh deploys a 4-2-3-1 formation with the three behind the striker attacking narrowly and the fullbacks providing the width and strong emphasis on vertical play along the ground.
Yeah, that's not having watched some of the games back. That definitely that's pretty spot on. Because what they like to get wide, but they also like to, when they do get into that wide position, they do like to fill the half spaces. So if they are wide, they like someone running in between the fullback and the centre back. And then that's how they try to create chances. They try to get a chance there, or if not, that will then maybe create some space for a player like in the middle of the penalty box.
Yeah,
and especially their left-hand side as well. Their left-hand side are very, very productive.
Yeah, so this is sort of something that I threw together very quickly. So obviously on the top in the white and black is Leeds, which is how they would set up with a 4 at the back, with the 2 holding midfielders, with the 1-10, and then the 2 wingers out wide with the striker through the mid. I think it definitely emphasizes it, because I know that these guys in Sinistera, and I think Harrison plays here, doesn't he?
Yeah, Jack Harrison. Yeah, he's been very good this year as well.
Yeah, so these guys, I know that they 100% come in narrow in the attacking phase.
Yeah,
as these guys push up.
Yeah, that's
And then
exactly it.
these sort of DMs, I know that one of them sort of drops into the hole. So you're sort of playing sort of this kind of formation when they're coming at
Yeah,
us
yeah,
with
definitely.
the
I think,
fullbacks pushed high.
yeah, definitely. And I think with the DM, I think it just depends what side they're attacking. So like if they're attacking on the right, then the right DM will push up, whilst the left one will push back, and then vice versa.
100%. What are your thoughts on, I guess, my predicted starting formation? I sort of picked a 4-1-4-1 because I feel like in against Chelsea, our midfield looked very weak. Granted we did have Eze and Elise both in the midfield, which I still stand by. I don't think is a very good idea. I would still rather have Hughes in there. But you do make the argument on why would you play someone that's not fit for that position over someone who is fit for that position? What does Vieira think of Hughes? Is he not ready? We never know. But I still think that Elise was very wasted in that position. And I think that if we had, I guess, the same players, I'd much rather play Ayu in that midfield because he's a lot stronger on the ball, stronger in the tackle, and I feel like after seeing what he did against Newcastle in midfield, I don't see why he couldn't do it again.
Yeah, you know what? I would actually agree with that. And also the thing is as well, with Leeds, their left hand side is particular. Like if you look at like the X, like who creates the XG and like who creates like the expected assists and all that kind of stuff, the majority of it comes down their left hand side. So for me, bearing in mind that Klein is going to be injured, Joachim Anderson is probably I don't think he's going to be available either. I think we do need something on that. I think Elise, don't get me wrong, I think Elise is decent at tracking back, don't get me wrong. But I think Ayu is better at doing it. And like you say, he's stronger. And I think with Leeds' tackling, like Leeds put in like the most tackles of any team in the league, or near enough in like every third of the pitch, they're in the top three. So they put in a lot of tackles. They're going to go in. And they're also, again, like you said, like you're drawing about the fouls, they've got they've got the third most fouls in the league already, and that's crazy considering that they average like 54% possession, so they barely even have an opportunity to give away fouls. Do you know what I mean? So I think having Ayu in there, who, like you said, is stronger, I completely agree, and I think he'll shield that our right hand side and Leeds' left a lot better than I think Elise would.
Chairman here says, do you think Palace may change tactics to protect our defence during the injury crisis? Well, we're sort of already talking about it.
I mean, yeah, is Anderson out? Because I had a quick look earlier. It seems like he is, but he wasn't. It didn't seem clear cut.
Yeah, I've heard that he missed Chelsea on a precaution. It wasn't actually a full blown injury. So I heard that apparently he strained his ankle a little bit when he was with Denmark, but I don't think it was a full blown injury. And I was sort of talking about it with my dad here and thinking, well, looking at the games we've got after Chelsea is the game to miss out because theoretically we don't really think of getting points against Chelsea. However, all the games and the run we're going on after, we're going to need him a lot more than in this Chelsea game.
That is very true. And I think this is going a bit forward, but I do think he's going to be very important. He would be very important in this game with his long balls. I mean, I'll say that every game, but like especially this game as well. I mean, and the thing is, like Chris Richards being injured, in terms of like an actual formation change, like we haven't actually got enough defenders to even play five at the back, which is quite mad when you think about it. Like Chris Richards is injured, Anderson is a maybe, Klein is injured. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
we've literally got a back four, and if we lose one, we are stuffed.
Yeah, literally. Like we could see, like if Mitchell gets stuffed, like Adamaroda's got a player. Do you know what I mean? Or like if one of our centre backs gets injured, which let's be honest, Tompkins is injury prone, then we got to play like Gregan or someone like that,
or Rodney or someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit mad when you think about it.
Yeah, 100%. I think with what you said about Anderson and long balls, we'll talk about it a bit more in depth when we move on to some of our other slides. But I think that because Leeds, when they're in this attacking formation, the centre backs stand on the halfway line, so they play a very high line, and we've got
Yeah,
some pacey.
definitely.
We've got some pacey wingers. Edward, after that goal, should be feeling confident. Elise is not slow either. So if we can get a nice little Anderson ball over the top and in behind, you got something to run on to. I probably back Zaha and Elise
100%.
to be scoring.
100%. 100%. Like, yeah, so we'll go on to that a bit later, but certainly that'd be very useful.
Louis says IU as an 8 is very underrated, and I think we should go with it against Leeds.
Yeah, I think so. I think he should. I think for this particular game, I think he would be the option in midfield if there isn't. I think.
Yeah, I think with how we've set up Leeds, they're sort of in this attacking formation. I feel like we'll set up like this as like when the game's sort of in a neutral phase of play, where no one's really attacking and no one's really defending for their life right now. But because these guys are in an attacking formation, I think when we are on the attack, I do think that Zaha will move up, Elise will move up, and I think that Eze will move up and come slightly more centrally.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I would say so, and I would. I mean, I would hope as well that our fullbacks do get a bit more forward, because I think with Leeds, because they commit so many players forwards, you can kind of get pinned back a little bit. Like when I watch other teams' games back, you can get pinned back quite a lot by Leeds.
You sort of have to counter commit against it. If they commit to you, you sort of have to counter commit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wouldn't be surprised if the fullbacks are told not to go because of Tompkins at centre back and Ward at right back.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, isn't it?
So that right side of our defence is so slow compared to the left side of the defence.
Yeah, and it's so annoying, because like literally Leeds' left-hand attack is very good. Jack Harrison's had a very good season, and he's normally he's supported very well by I don't know how you pronounce his name, Struck. He supports him he does support him very well. So I'm not gonna lie, for me that would be the biggest worry of this game, that our right hand side.
Yeah. So as we're talking about us worrying, and that's something we do very well as Palace fans, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, shout out to all the people on Twitter who think we're already going to get relegated.
Yeah, shout out everyone. Making me feel upset every time I log into Twitter.
Oh mate, honestly, I've tried to avoid it so much, like the last week or two.
I'll tell you one thing I've seen, slightly off topic. What was the bloody Swindon manager talking about? Proper cussing our youth team. What's he on about? Man?
Wasn't that Joey? It was Joey Barton, apparently.
Yeah, it was. He was proper cussing us.
Mate, he's let's be honest, he's got a track record for being a see you next Tuesday. So he's
or Thursday.
Yeah, or Thursday. Yeah. Well, I mean, he is every day of the week. So
every day of the week needs to be named T.
So I was listening to HLTCO's podcast, and he went on a bit of a rant about it this morning.
Yeah, I listened to that as well.
Yeah, you listened to it. But to be fair, Dan's spot on there, because like Joe Barton's just saying it just to be like inflammatory. Do you know what I mean? And like at the end of the day, he's saying stuff that isn't even true. He was like, "Oh, these players wouldn't even get into team." Blah, 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 blah. Even despite the fact that we literally have like 3 players on loan who are doing well or did do well last season.
Yeah, well, put it this way, Raksaki's smashing it at Charlton right now.
Well, yeah, exactly. Scott Banks as well at Bradford. Jake O'Brien was quality at Swindon last season.
Yeah, and him and Plange are both doing very well at Molenbeek.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day,
that's international as well as.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like they're literally in like another country, like having to fit in and stuff. And also as well, like when you look at the fact that our academy at the moment is literally top of the under-21 league, and our under-18s are second in the Southern division of the top league. And it's like Joe Barton's he's just like he talks a lot. He talks a lot. I mean, he's the kind of guy who will do an interview in France and put on a fake French accent. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a comment and a half.
If you know, I could go on all day about him, but
yeah, I think last point on that before we get back to what I was talking about. Our teams. So we drew 3-3 with Chelsea, and I think we beat Chelsea with the 18s as well.
Yeah, 3-2. Yeah.
Remind me how many academy graduates from Chelsea have gone either straight into the Premier League or straight into the Championship. Livramento smashed it at Southampton. Mark smashed it with us. Loftus-Cheek smashed it with us. So that Chelsea academy is incredible, and we have matched them and bested them already this season.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I know a lot of Chelsea fans might allude to like, oh yeah, but all the good ones are playing in the first team, or some rubbish like that. But at the end of the day,
you've got to beat what's in front of you.
Well, yeah, exactly. And they would have played in the under-21s at some point. Like, it's not just like, oh yeah, they're good in the under-18s. Let's stick them in the first team. Do you know what I mean? So, and well, when I watched the under-21s game, they had a very good player who can't remember his name, Amari Hutchinson, very very good player. So obviously those players, they do play in the academy.
Where do you see our biggest concern is defense or lack of midfield cover? I think it's a bit of both, if I'm really honest.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would say it really depends who is fit. Like, if Joachim Andersen is fit, then I'm less worried about the defense. If Joachim Andersen is not fit, then for me, it would be the defense that is more of the worry, I would say.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I would say they're both a concern, because I think there's lack of quality in the midfield, but I think there's lack of quantity in defense. I think that's where we're looking at right now.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So this is how I believe that Leeds will look when they have us, when they are in the attacking third. Oh, can I zoom in? No, not really. But this is sort of how I feel like we'll do it. I feel like we don't really switch into a back five very often when we're even when we are defending. We just try and play as narrow as possible so they cannot break the lines with one pass, so that we try and force them to have a shot outside the box, which will most likely mean a worldie is the only thing that will score a goal. But as we was talking about with this Leeds overload, they're sort of playing at what, a 4-3-3 formation. I mean a 3-3-4 formation. So if anything, they're most likely going to be man for man on our back line. And I know Sinistera's not playing, but sort of how I'm seeing those two link up and cross their runs, because they do like to run diagonally as well, which I think is going to be a big problem for our defenders if they're not got pace.
Yeah, I think, definitely. And I think Patrick Bamford's back as well for our game.
And he'll definitely score, even though he's crap. Yeah.
I mean, he is due on after he was fairly incorrectly given offside on.
It was harsh. It was harsh.
I thought that was a goal, to be honest. I mean, the thing is with Leeds, when I watch them play, I notice that like that gap in between like the fullback and the centre backs, they like to exploit that when they're in like that kind of position. And one thing I did notice with Leeds on the stats was that they don't necessarily have loads of shots per se, but they have they actually have the third highest expected goals per shot in the league. I think only like Brentford and Liverpool, I think, have got like higher or something like that. So when they do get a shot, it will probably be a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's because they seem to like try and when they're in this position, they try to like find the little gaps and force their way into the middle of the penalty box.
Mm-hmm.
And the middle of the penalty box is where the highest XG shots are going to be. And because they take it from those areas, I think that's why they have the highest.
Mm.
That's what I think about that.
Could we also exploit that when defending? Because in my opinion, that sort of more sounds like they're trying to walk it into the net, and we know because we do it all the time that that doesn't always lead to goals. Even though you're trying to make a better chance, you'll make less chances.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think again with that approach, it really depends. It kind of figures with that approach is that if your players aren't on it that day, like we know that we don't finish enough chances we should do. But I think if you do create fewer but better chances, you could if your strikers are missing that on that day, if they're not up to it, then theoretically they'll get less chances. Even though they're better chances, they won't get that many chances. So
yeah, I think one thing that we can talk about with this defensive third of our game is Zaha, because when we're defending, no matter what, Zaha is always standing on that halfway line because he is always a threat. We do this for corners, we do it for when we're sitting deep. So this will be Zaha, and I'm guessing Eddie would come back out here onto the left. I think this is so important because of Anderson, and this, what I'm going to say, is only relevant if Anderson plays.
yeah,
Because if we can nick the ball off of them, the first thing Anderson is going to do is he's going to hit one here, or he's going to hit one here.
yeah, no, definitely.
And Zaha will run to wherever that ball is played. And that is a massive threat that we have coming from defense.
Definitely. And you think like we always say like we always notice like how many players are marking Wilf, like not even necessarily in his position, but just generally like he'll often have like 3 players on him, like at the very least 2 players on him. So like you say, Leeds kind of have to draw back a little bit, and then we can kind of hit him on the counter a little bit.
Is there any other tactics that we could employ, do you think?
From
when defending?
Well, so I think so. When I was watching it, where I think Leeds are vulnerable is definitely on the wings, because I noticed because they commit so many players forward, even like when they're in kind of like the mid, like sort of like the bit between the final and mid third, they commit so many players forward that you don't even need to be that far back for one of our players to be able to just nick the ball and then set us off on the counter. And on the wings, if you manage to get it, if you give it to the wings, they're like Jack Harrison and what would be Sinister. I don't know who we playing on Sunday, but they won't track back enough. So their fullbacks will have a 1v1. And when I did pretty much all the goals that Leeds have conceded have come from something like that, where they've kind of lost it in the attacking / mid third, and then the team's broken, giving it to the wings, and then all they've had to do is then switch it to the other side. The other wing is in a lot of space. They either then get a shot or then able to cross it into the box or something like that. That's, I think, Leeds' biggest problem, because I think it's difficult to control the game with Leeds. So a counter attack, I think, is probably the way forward / the way it would pan out anyway.
But with what you're saying about countering after the overload that they have up at our end of the pitch, do you think with us conceding so many late goals that if this game drags out at 0-0, let's say, for a long time, and we're going to have to start committing players forwards, could we fall under that curse of conceding after 75 minutes again against Leeds?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'd say the answer to any team we play is probably yeah. Sadly, I try not to be negative, but you know, it's definitely our Achilles heel at the moment. They and the thing is with Leeds as well, they're a very high energy team. Like they put in the most pressures in the league again, despite the fact that they have the ball 54% of the time, 53% of the time. So you know you can't pressure the ball if you've got the ball. So the fact that they still do it, some of the highest in the league, if not the highest in the league, is very impressive. So they do, you know, they're a very high energy team. I don't think they necessarily drop off at the end of games either. I think that's the main issue. It would be different if like they did it and then got tired at the end of the game. But from what I've seen, they don't really tend to get tired. They just keep going basically. So for us who are perhaps a bit laggy at the end of the games, you know, maybe against Leeds, there is more of an opportunity for them because they are high energy and because they don't really tire out at the end of the game.
I've just found a very interesting website. I'm not sure how accurate the stats are here, so don't quote me. But it says at home, on average, we concede a goal every 60 minutes.
Really?
So, yeah, we've conceded 11 goals all season.
Well, I guess. Well, we haven't kept a clean sheet. We haven't kept a clean sheet
at home. Yeah. So if we do it overall, it's every 57 minutes, but it's still not much better. And so in the second half, it is 71% of goals we've conceded in the second half alone this season so far, which doesn't look good.
No,
basically.
I mean, it seems like I know we had the problem of conceding last minute goals last season as well. Yeah. I mean, one positive I suppose you could take from that is saying, well, because we did have a problem of conceding first for ages as well, which I know we did against Villa and we have done against we did against Arsenal and as well. But I guess you could argue and look at it positively and say, well, maybe we're just a bit better in the first half now. But I mean, the conceding in the last minutes is I think still a massive problem that they haven't. I think Vieira has tried to address it, but I don't think it's worked. Whatever he's done, like I think the whole 5 at the back thing, I think was a way to address that, and I don't think it's worked, but like I just don't. It hasn't worked in the way it's happened so far. I think it could work, but not yet. Anyway.
All right. So this is what I believe that we'll sort of set up like in the attacking phase of play. Do you want to take us through this? If you agree with it, if you disagree with it.
On the wings, I guess that would be for me, Abi Zaha and Elise. In the middle, we'd have Edouard. Who would be your three at the back?
I think it would have. I think purely for pace reasons, it would have to be Mitchell, Gay, and Tompkins. It would have to be.
Yeah.
So I sort of think Ward would be the one that comes and tucks in here because I have seen that in the last couple games, if Elise is, I guess he's running at the defender here. Obviously, Eze would pull over and sort of give him a forward option, but Ward would sort of give him that third option to pass back. Yeah. So you could do like an easy 1-2 with Elise coming. So Elise could come here, and then that ball could be given to Eze up here, and then I guess a through ball, get a cross in, or even Eze could maybe switch to playing Edouard. We got options if we play like this.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that back four because I think Czech Decore will be very useful going forwards in this game when we are that sort of end. I mean, for me, honestly, I don't want to see Palace control the game. Obviously, I would love to see us control the game. I think the counter attack is going to be the thing that we're probably going to see a lot more of. I think if we do see this, it will be if Leeds take the lead. No pun intended there. But yeah, I
Big
think
man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
I was trying to think of another pun with Jesse Marsh, or like, getting stuck in the marsh or something, but I don't think that makes any sense.
we can't give him the Ted Lasso because he's actually a good manager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he actually understands football and doesn't call it. Well, actually, he probably does call it soccer. But I think, yeah, I would agree with that. I think if we overload the wings, I like it when we do that. I like us overloading the wings. We've got very good wingers. And I think as long as we can get someone, I think what we've missed this season, I know people are tired of the whole Conor Gallagher thing, but I do think we didn't replace him in the sense of like, we need a player who then gets into the box, who like wants to get into the box and like, just gamble and like have a shot. Because at the moment, we only really have the striker, whether it's Edouard or Mateta. Whereas like the two midfielders seem to like sit off in kind of like on the D or like just outside of it. So I think, I would like to see someone do that. Whether it's Eze who then does that, I don't know. But I would like to see someone do that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to grab a heat map here from Gallagher, but I can't seem to make it zoom in properly.
Yeah.
But with you talking about the wing play, when I was doing my transfer weeklies and I was getting the heat maps and stuff and I was looking at it, with what you said about the wing play, I'd never remembered it this much, but Conor Gallagher actually overloaded the wings a hell of a lot.
Yeah, he did. Like he had like the most. I think he had like the second most crosses of anyone in the team or something like that.
Yeah, so as you can see here, he's very much down that right hand side.
Yeah.
And if you look at Eze, he's literally the opposite. He's this exact heat map, but on the left hand side. So you've got two midfielders that are not afraid to help out on the wings.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I thought we played our best. For me, the midfield of Gallagher, this was before Eze came back. Last season, I thought the best midfield was Gallagher, Koyate, and MacArthur. Because they both because they basically acted as Metsalas. So like when we were defending, they came inside and they made like the 5-man midfield or whatever. But then when we were attacking, whoever was on, so if we attacked down the right, Gallagher would support the wings. MacArthur would tuck in case there's a counter. If it was the left hand side, MacArthur would be on the left. Gallagher would tuck in, and I think we need a midfielder on the right hand side because I think Eze's capable of doing that. I think we need a midfielder on the right hand side who is capable of doing that. Which, going back to the last game against Chelsea, I could see the logic with Michael Elise because obviously he's a winger, so I could kind of see the logic. I mean, I don't think it's really a long-term solution, but I could see the logic with it, if you know what I mean. I thought your shout earlier with Will Hughes. I think I'm surprised Will Hughes hasn't played more. I know he's been injured, but I'm surprised he hasn't played more because I think he does fit that role.
Yeah, or even a more probably less agreed with Palace fans. If we just play 2 DMs and let Eze do what he wants and play Decore and Luca next to each other in the midfield.
You know what? I think that could work. I mean, I would maybe stick in. Maybe I'm just a Will Hughes fanboy here, but I would stick in. I would stick in maybe Will Hughes, or even Jeff Schlupp or someone like that, because I think we could have the 2 DMs. But even if say if Eze wants to push to the left or the attack's going to the left, maybe then one of the DMs could just push slightly forward, like Chet Decore could push slightly forward, or if it's on the right, then Jeff Schlupp could push slightly forward. I think that could work, and we have played it. We have played it with success. So,
yeah. Neil says his hair was offside. Are we talking about Zaha? Or we talk about Bamford, because I think that was a sleeve, wasn't it? It was his sleeve that was offside.
Sleeve it out.
No.
Big man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Oh gosh. Louis, a random question. How do you think PV knows what to do against his opponents as a manager?
I would say one, Palace have probably got scouts who might scout the opposition ahead anyway, and two, they'll have access to all like games, so they'll be able to watch games back. And I would imagine that they just analyze it kind of similar to what we're doing, and then they're just thinking of like, okay, how can we counteract this, or if they've got a problem in their thing, how can we exploit that? That's how I'd imagine they do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Is there any other things that you would like to talk about? Stats, formations, tactics?
Not really. I guess the only other stat really that would be worth bringing up, which actually kind of goes well with the definition that you got, not the definition, but the overview from the Athletic and Leeds' thing. They actually hate long balls. They don't do long balls. So despite the fact that they actually pass it quite a lot anyway, they've actually got I think they've got the third least attempted long balls in the league. So they don't like long balls; they like short balls. So they're not gonna be pinging them long. Put it that way.
For anyone that's just coming in, this is what Dan is currently talking about.
Yeah, and another thing worth pointing out, I think, with Leeds is that they do like to press high as well. So again, I think one way to maybe reel them in is if we could get one of our midfielders to drop, maybe check Decore because he's very good at doing this. But if we have check Decore, Gay, and maybe Anderson, you can maybe play it around the three of them, try to draw their press in a little bit, and then use Anderson to ping a ball long.
So that long ball to Zaha that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So whether we're defending or whether we've got the ball and we can draw them in, I think it can work in both of those scenarios.
So would you think that, I guess, sort of a slow build up into a fast execution of a counter attack would be more effective than just going straight for it straight away?
Yeah. I think so because they are going to press. To be fair, they don't press like 100% of the time. Like I would say they probably press like 80% of the time. So obviously it does depend on what they are doing. You do have to be a bit reactive. But I think if they are coming onto you, I agree. Like an initial slow build up and then a quick ping, and then you're on your way. I think is the way forward.
Another comment. First goal will be important. We score against Leeds, and their game plan goes out the window. Yeah,
100%. At the end of the day, like you could, who knows?
Say that for anyone.
Well, yeah, we could Zaha could score a worldie from like 30 yards out, and then that's it. I mean, so then we can bring in Graham for the third centre back and a five at the back. Graham, Tompkins, and Gay.
That'll be funny to watch. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to talk about. I think the only other things that we would really talk about is in the preview, which is tomorrow, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, come back and tune in tomorrow at, I think is it 7 or 8? I can't remember. But
I think it's half 7. I think it's half 7. Take Rich, but
all right. Well, Dan, any further comments?
No, that's it. I'm all good.
All right. Well, this is TACT-EAGLE. I still like that name. Is class.
I didn't come up with.
Yeah, I'm JC. That's Dan. We're Eagle-Eyed Football, and we're out up the Palace. Eagles.
Questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Van Cam's reactions, watch along to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.